Night covers the land. A lonely train crawls across a wooden bridge in the American South. Inside the cars, passengers talk softly. Some sleep, some read. They do not know their lives are about to cross the path of a man the papers will call the most dangerous train robber in the Wild West. His name is Rube Burrow, but before he ever pointed a gun at a train, he was just a poor farm boy in Alabama. Rube Burrow was born in Lamar County, Alabama, in the year 1855. The Burrow family is not rich. They work hard in the red dirt of the South, trying to pull a living out of the land. As a boy, Rube learns early what hunger feels like. He learns how his father's hands crack from work. He hears adults talk about money, debt, and bad harvests. There are no big dreams here. No school for long. No chance to be famous, just the sun, the soil, and survival. From a young age, Rube is strong and quiet. He is not a loud child. He watches, he listens, he notices how some men own the land and other men only work it. He sees trains in the distance sometimes, long lines of iron, smoking and roaring across the hills. They carry people, mail, and money. They move fast, while his family seems stuck in one place. In his mind, a small idea starts to grow. The world is bigger than this farm, much bigger. When Rube becomes a teenager, the country is still healing from the Civil War. The South is broken, poor, and full of tension. Old rules are changing, new rules are not clear. Rube feels like he does not belong in the life he was given. He wants more than dust and debt. He wants land of his own. He wants to stand on ground that belongs to him and say, "This is mine. I earned it." So he makes a choice. He leaves home. As a young man, Rube travels west to Texas. Out there, the land is wide and wild. The sky seems endless. It feels like anything can happen. He works on his uncle's ranch. He rides horses, watches cattle, and learns the ways of the open range. He is not an outlaw. He is not a robber. He is just another hard worker trying to build a better life. Rube hears stories around campfires, stories of outlaws and lawmen, stories of famous names like Jesse James. Some men speak of them like devils. Some speak of them like heroes. Rube listens, but he says little. Somewhere inside him, the line between right and wrong is still clear. For now, in time, Rube finds love. He marries a young woman named Virginia. They start a small farm in Texas. He plants crops. He builds a home. Children are born. For a short while, his life looks almost normal. A simple man, a simple house, a simple dream. But life in the West is harsh. One year, the rain comes too little. Another year, it comes too hard. Crops fail, debt grows, and then something worse than bad weather hits. A terrible sickness spreads through the area. Yellow fever, people get weak, they shake with fever, some do not recover. Rube's wife becomes ill. He tries to care for her, but there is little he can do. Doctors are far, medicine is weak, but in the end, Virginia dies. Rube is left alone with two small children, a broken farm, and a heart full of pain. The house feels empty. The fields feel heavier. Every corner of his life holds a memory of what he lost. Grief changes him. He still works. He still moves. But something inside him has cracked. He tries again to rebuild. He remarries. He keeps farming in Texas. But the land is not kind. The money does not last. The dream he had starts to feel like a lie. Rube begins to see the world in a new way. He sees railroads making big profits. He sees companies moving gold, cash, and goods across the land, while men like him fight just to stay alive. In his mind, a dangerous thought appears. If the game is unfair, why should he play fair? Around him, the railroads grow stronger. Trains whistle through the night, carrying mail, bank money, and rich men in clean clothes. Rube's hands are still rough from work. His pockets are still almost empty. He is tired of begging the earth for food. Tired of watching his life collapse every time the weather changes. He remembers the campfire stories. He remembers the outlaws who did not wait for luck. They took what they wanted. They made their own chances. The idea that once felt like a whisper now feels like a voice, louder, stronger. What if he did the same? One day Rube looks at a train and no longer sees a miracle of iron and steam. He sees moving money. He sees bills paid, debts cleared, power taken back. The poor farm boy from Alabama is almost gone now. The heartbroken husband is almost gone too. In his place stands a man who is ready to step over the line soon. He will gather men he trusts. Soon he will choose a night, a track, and a train. Soon passengers will hear a calm but cold voice in the dark say, "Everybody stay still. This is a robbery." And the name Rube Burrow will begin its climb into legend. But that is the next part of the story. The decision was made in Rube Burrow's heart long before the world knew it. He was tired of losing, tired of watching trains rush past with money and mail while his own life fell apart. Now he was ready, not as a quiet farmer, but as a man willing to stop a train with a gun in his hand. It started with a plan. Simple, cold, dangerous. Rube knew he could not do it alone. He needed men he could trust. Men who were as hungry and angry as he was. He turned first to someone who had been by his side for years, his younger brother, Jim Burrow. Jim was loyal. Jim knew the same hard life, the same long days, the same disappointments. When Rube spoke of his idea, Jim did not call him crazy. He listened. Rube talked about the trains. He told Jim how they carried cash, gold, and strong boxes from town to town. Banks trusted the rails. Express companies trusted the rails. But nobody expected the rails themselves to become a place of attack. Rube explained the plan in a calm, steady voice. They would not storm a bank in daylight. They would not fight a whole town. Instead, they would choose a lonely stretch of track, a place where the train would be almost alone with the night. There, they would strike fast, get on, get the money, get off. No speeches, no long battles, just in and out, Jim agreed. The line had been crossed. News travels quickly in small places, quiet talks in barns, whispers in saloons. One man tells another he knows a fellow who is good with a gun. Another says he knows someone who hates the railroad. Bit by bit, Rube builds a small team. Not famous outlaws. Not legends. Just ordinary men who are tired of feeling small. They study the schedules. They watch the tracks. They learn which trains carry express cars and guards, and which ones carry mail and money. They pick their target, a night train moving through Texas, a train of the Fort Worth and Denver line. The night of the robbery is quiet, the sky is dark, the air is thick and still. Rube and his men move into position near a small town stop. They wear simple clothes and carry rifles and pistols. Their hearts pound, but their faces stay hard. Rube's eyes are sharp. He is not the confused farmer anymore. He is focused, watching the curve of the tracks, listening for that first faint sound, the low, distant rumble of iron on iron. Then he hears it. The train is coming. The headlight appears first, cutting through the dark like a single burning eye. The engine breathes smoke and steam as it rolls closer. Rube signals his men. They move to the track. Ready? The engineer sees something the headman in the way, arms raised, guns flashing in the light. He has a choice. Keep going and risk a crash, or pull the brake he chooses to stop. Metal squeals. The train slows. Then, with a long, angry hiss, it comes to a halt on the track. For the first time, Rube Burrow has stopped the train. The doors open, lanterns swing. Voices rise in fear and confusion. Rube climbs aboard. His boots hit the car floor with a dull thud. He holds his gun steady, not shaking. He speaks in a low, clear voice. Everybody stay calm. Do what you're told, and no one gets hurt. Passengers stare at him. Some clutch their bags and watches. Others look down at the floor, too scared to meet his eyes. Rube is not wild. He is not shouting. He moves with a quiet, cold purpose. This is not anger now. This is business. The gang spreads out through the cars. One man watches the aisle. Another checks pockets and purses. They look for cash, for jewelry, for anything of value. In the express car, they demand the safe be opened. Sometimes the guard obeys. Sometimes he resists. On this first job, the reward is not huge. They do not walk away with mountains of gold, but they do get more money in one night than farming gave them in months, maybe years, and more important than the money. They learn something. It can be done. A train can be stopped. Men with guns and determination can make the great iron machine bow to them. When it is over, Rube gives the signal. They move fast, slip off the train, and vanish into the darkness beyond the tracks. Behind them, the shaken passengers start to talk. Some are angry, some are terrified. All of them have a story now. The story of the night their train was robbed by a calm, cold man with hard eyes. They do not all know his name yet, but they will, later. Around a dim lamp, the gang counts the money. They laugh in short bursts, nervous and excited. They made it. They pulled it off. Rube does not laugh much. He watches the money, then watches the men. He feels a new kind of power. For so long, he had been the man things happened to, the man who lost crops, the man who lost a wife, the man who lost control. Tonight, he was the one who made things happen. It feels dangerous. It feels wrong. It also feels good. The first train robbery does more than fill pockets. It lights a fire. Word begins to spread. People whisper about masked men on the tracks, about a leader who stays calm under pressure, about a robber who doesn't kill for fun, but does not seem afraid to point a gun. Newspapers start to notice. Lawmen start to talk. And inside Rube Burrow, the path becomes clearer. There is no easy way back to the quiet life. He has chosen his road now. It runs along the tracks. It runs through fear and risk. It runs straight into the history of the Wild West. Soon, there will be more robberies, more money, more danger, and a name that will echo across the South. Rube Burrow, the train robber. The first train robbery changes everything for Rube Burrow. Before that night, he is a farmer with bad luck and a broken heart. After that night, he is something new. He has stopped a train. He has taken money by force. He has crossed the line. And he has survived now. The story of Rube Burrow, the train robber, truly begins. In the days after the first robbery, Rube stays quiet. He keeps his head low. He avoids loud talk in town. But inside, his mind is busy. He goes over every step in his memory, where they stood, how the train stopped, how the passengers reacted, what went right, what almost went wrong. He sees the weak spots in the plan. He sees how they can do better next time, because there will be a next time. He knows that now. Rube meets again with his brother Jim. They sit in a simple room with worn chairs and a rough table. The air smells like dust, sweat, and old tobacco. Jim is restless. He has tasted fast money. He has felt the power of making a train stop with nothing but a gun and a look. He wants more. Rube listens. He understands. He feels that same pull inside his own chest. But Rube is not careless. He is not a man who wants wild chaos. If they are going to keep robbing trains, they must be smarter, faster, and safer for themselves. So a new idea forms in Rube's mind. Not just a one-time job. Not just two brothers with guns. A gang. Slowly, the group takes shape. There is Henderson, a man who can handle horses better than most and is quick with a pistol. There is Cook, a quiet rider who knows the back roads and hidden crossings. There are one or two others who come and go, men without steady work, men who feel the world has left them behind. They are not famous names, they are not legends, but with Rube leading them, they become something dangerous. People will know them, in time, as the Burrow Gang. Rube becomes the center of this group. He is not loud, but the others listen when he speaks. He studies train schedules. He walks along the tracks, counting steps and measuring distances in his head. He finds places where a train will slow down near sharp curves, small stations, wooden bridges, and narrow cuts through hills. These places are like weak points in a chain. If he hits them, the great steel snakes of the railroad can be controlled. He learns which cars carry mail, which cars carry express safes, which lines are poorly guarded. His mind turns like a slow, heavy wheel, always planning, always thinking. Soon, another target is chosen. This time, Rube does not want just any stretch of track. He wants a place where the train cannot escape easily. He looks at a trestle bridge near a town, a high wooden bridge over a drop. If the train is stopped on that bridge, there is nowhere for it to go. No one will jump off. No one will rush in from the sides. The train will be trapped in midair. Rube likes this idea. It is bold. It is risky. But it is clever. He shares the plan with the gang. They agree. The next robbery will not only bring money, it will show just how much control they can have over a giant machine that weighs tons. The night of the second, robbery feels different. The men are less shaky now. They have done this once. They know what fear feels like. They know how to move through it. Rube waits near the trestle bridge, listening to the wind whistle through the wooden beams. His eyes stay fixed on the dark line of the track. Beside him, Jim checks his gun, then checks it again. The others shift their weight, trying to stand still despite the nervous energy inside him. Far away, the faint sound of a train begins to rise. The Burrow Gang prepares. The train enters the bridge. Its weight makes the wood groan softly. The engine pushes forward, trusting the rails, trusting the bridge, trusting the schedule. But tonight, the train is wrong. Rube signals the engineer with his gun and his stance. The men block the way, ready to shoot if needed. The engineer sees them and feels a cold shock in his blood. He knows this place. He knows the bridge is no spot for trouble. Still, he cannot run the gang down. He pulls the brake, the train slows. The cars rock gently, then come to a stop high above the ground. Once again, Rube Burrow has done the impossible. He has made a train stand still in the middle of the sky. The robbery moves like clockwork. Rube keeps his gun steady and his voice level. He orders the express car opened. The gang moves quickly, searching bags and pockets, picking out cash, purses, watches, and other valuables. The express safe gives them more money this time, enough to make the risk feel worth it. Throughout it all, Rube tries to keep control. He does not fire his gun unless he has to. He does not enjoy hurting people, but he will not hesitate to threaten. He will not hesitate to put fear in the eyes of railroad men and passengers if it means the gang walks away alive. The line between mercy and hardness grows thinner every time he does this. When they are done, the Burrow Gang slips away again. They vanish into the woods and hills, leaving behind a train full of shaken travelers and an engineer who has now seen the same robber twice. The story begins to spread faster. People talk. In towns, in farmhouses, in saloons. A man named Burrow. A gang stopping trains on bridges. No sheriff can catch him. In news offices, printers press ink onto paper. Headlines hint at a bold new outlaw in the South. The legend of Rube Burrow starts to grow, piece by piece, story by story. The money from the robberies gives the gang food, clothes, and fresh horses. It also gives them something else, a feeling of power. But power comes with a price. For every train they rob, another railroad agent takes note. For every frightened passenger, another lawman gains a reason to hunt them. The Burrow Gang believes they are in control. They believe they move like ghosts, untouchable and unseen. Yet far away, in quiet offices and sheriff stations, maps are unfolding, notes are being written, plans are being made. Soon, men who hunt outlaws for a living will hear the name Rube Burrow, and they will not sit still. The rise of the gang is almost complete, but in the shadows, the first steps of the chase are already beginning. By now, the name Rube Burrow is no longer just a whisper among poor farmers and barroom talkers. It is starting to travel. On the same rails he robs. Every new holdup adds another line to his story. Every frightened passenger becomes a witness. Every stolen dollar becomes proof that the Burrow Gang is real and bold. After the robberies on the Trestle Bridge, Rube does not slow down. If anything, he becomes more careful and more daring at the same time. He studies new routes. He marks the places where trains must slow for water, coal, or curves. He learns which cars carry more than letters, the ones bearing express safes, lottery money, or company cash. He is no longer just guessing now. He is learning the science of train robbery. The gang's lives change. Horses are fresher, guns are newer, clothes are less worn, they eat better than they did on the farm, they sleep in hidden camps, in shacks, in abandoned cabins. But along with comfort comes something else, overconfidence. Some of the men start to brag in small ways. A joke here, a hint there. A stranger hears a story. A bartender sends a quiet word. A deputy writes a short report. Piece by piece, a picture of the Burrow Gang starts to form in the minds of men whose job is to catch criminals. Rube himself stays mostly calm. He does not drink much. He does not boast loudly. But even he feels the pull of his new power. When the gang rides through a lonely stretch of country, he sits tall in the saddle. He knows the trains that pass nearby might be carrying small fortunes. And he knows that, with the right timing, he can reach out and take some of that fortune for himself. The feeling is like holding lightning in his hands. Dangerous, exciting, hard to let go. With each robbery, they try something slightly different. One night, they stop a train just beyond a tiny station, when no one expects trouble so close to town. Another time, they pick a spot near a curve, where the train must slow down whether it wants to or not. Rube gives clear orders. Move fast. Do not waste time. Do not shoot unless it is needed. He still wants control. He still believes he can be an outlaw without becoming a wild killer. But the world is not a neat place, and danger does not always listen to rules. One robbery gives them more money than usual, a mail car loaded with cash envelopes and sealed packages. When the safe is opened, some of the men cheer quietly. Stacks of bills, shiny coins, and valuable papers sit right in front of them. For men who grew up counting pennies, this is like staring at a new world. Jim looks at Rube and smiles. Looks like the trains are working for us now, he says. Rube does not smile back fully, but there is a glint in his eyes. Part of him agrees. Part of him also hears a warning inside. The more you take, the more they will want you caught. Far away, in offices lined with maps and telegraph wires, railroad bosses and express company managers are angry. Their trains are being robbed. Their money is vanishing. Drivers are nervous. Passengers complain. If they do nothing, they look weak. If they look weak, more outlaws may follow. So the companies decide it is time to fight back. They send word to sheriffs and marshals. They offer rewards for the capture of the robbers, dead or alive. Some posters say, Rube's name is not always spelled right, and some details are wrong. But the idea is clear. A price has been put on his head. The Burrow Gang does not see all of this at first. They do not see the posters going up. They do not hear every meeting in the back rooms of depots and town halls. But they feel the change. Roads do not seem as open. Strangers ask more questions. Some people turn their faces away when Rube walks by, as if they know, or at least suspect, at one country store. Rube notices a man staring a little too long at his belt, his boots, his eyes. Later, as they ride away, he tells Jim, people are starting to look harder. We cannot stay in one place long. Jim nods. He understands. The game is still in their favor. But the other side is starting to play better. Then comes a night that shows just how close danger really is. The gang chooses another train and another lonely point along the track. The plan is like the others. Stop the train. Control the passengers. Get the money. Disappear. But this time, as they move through the cars, one man decides he will not obey. He is a passenger with a rifle nearby, or a guard who thinks he sees. A chance different stories will be told later. What matters is this. He reaches for his weapon. Rube sees the movement. He knows that if the man fires, everything will explode into chaos. People could die on all sides. His men, the passengers, maybe even himself. There is no time to talk. No time to warn. Rube pulls his gun and shoots first. The sound of the shot slams through the car. Women scream. Men duck. The man who reached for his rifle falls. For a second, the whole world seems to stop. Rube's heart pounds. He looks down at the body. This is not a story around a campfire. This is real. He has killed a man during a robbery, whether he meant to or not. Whether he tells himself he had no choice or not, the result is the same. A life has been taken. The gang rushes to finish the job. They grab what they can and flee into the night. But something has changed forever. Back on the train, the passengers are no longer just victims of theft. They are witnesses to a killing. When the news reaches the towns, fear grows stronger. Newspapers now write not only about daring robberies, but about blood on the floor of a train car. Lawmen become more serious. Railroads become more desperate. And, somewhere in an office, a new idea is spoken aloud. This Rube Burrow may need more than a local sheriff. We may need professionals. Rube sits by a campfire that night, staring into the flames. His food sits mostly untouched. The men around him talk in low voices, but he does not join in. He thinks of the man who reached for the gun. He thinks of the empty space where that man's life used to be. Out here, far from courts and judges, a different kind of law rules. A law of speed and fear. A law of whoever shoots first. Rube tells himself it was necessary. He tells himself it was him or them, but deep inside, a shadow settles. The road he has chosen is darker now. And ahead on that road, someone else is coming, men who hunt outlaws for a living. Men who do not scare easily. Men with badges and notebooks and long memories. The ones the world will call the detectives. Narrator. The sound of that gunshot on the train does more than scare passengers. It changes how the world sees Rube Burrow. He is no longer just a clever train robber. He is now a man who was killed during a robbery. And when a man like that keeps walking free, important people start to feel afraid and angry. In busy railroad offices, men in suits sit around long wooden tables. Their faces are tight. Their voices are low. On the walls, maps of train lines stretch like spider webs across the South. One man taps the table with his finger. Our trains are not safe, he says. Passengers are talking. Newspapers are blaming us. This outlaw is making us look weak. Another man leans forward. He is not just stealing money now. He has blood on his hands. If we do nothing, more will die. Someone speaks the idea that many are already thinking. It is time to bring in professionals. Soon, a new kind of hunter enters the story. Detectives, some work for the railroads, some for express companies. Some belong to large private groups that track criminals across states. They are not simple town sheriffs. They do not sit behind desks and wait. They study, they travel, they follow trails like wolves, they carry notebooks and questions, they watch people, they listen to talk in saloons, stations, and small town stores, and now they have a name too. Chase, Rube Burrow. Wanted posters begin to appear on post office walls, on the sides of stores, inside train depots. The paper is rough and pale. The ink is dark. Wanted, it says in big letters, for train robbery and murder. Below the words, there is a rough picture of Rube's face. The drawing is not perfect, but the message is clear. This man is dangerous. This man is worth money if you help catch him. Some posters say $1,000. Some say more. For farmers and townsfolk who earn little, that reward is a fortune. The Burrow Gang hears about the posters. A friend brings one to their camp, folded in his hand. Rube studies it by firelight. He stares at his own drawn face. It is strange to see himself as others see him, not as a farmer, not as a husband, not as a brother, but as a wanted outlaw. Jim laughs a little, trying to ease the mood. Look at that picture, he says. They made you uglier than you are, Rube. Some of the men chuckle, but Rube does not. He knows what a reward means. It means people who once stayed quiet may now speak up. It means every stranger might choose money over loyalty. It means trust is getting thinner by the day. From this point on, every move the gang makes is a risk. They cannot stay too long in one place. They cannot talk freely in towns. They cannot relax, even when they feel safe. When they ride, they choose back roads instead of main paths. When they sleep, they hide deep in woods or in lonely hills. At night, Rube often lies awake, listening. An owl, the wind, a twig snapping somewhere in the dark. Is it just an animal, or a man with a badge and a gun? The line between fear and caution grows thin. Meanwhile, the detectives are busy. They visit train crews and station workers. They ask questions again and again. What did he look like? How did he speak? Did he limp? Was he left-handed? Did he have a scar? They collect every small detail. Height, hair color, way of walking. They talk to passengers who were robbed. They listen to how Rube moved, how he pointed his gun, how he gave orders. They begin to see a pattern. This is not a wild drunk. This is not a wild drunk. This is not a fool. This is a quiet, thinking man who plans his robberies like puzzles. The detectives also follow the money. Stolen bills do not vanish. They get spent out in small towns. When someone with no steady job suddenly starts paying in large bills, people notice. A storekeeper might tell a sheriff, that fellow spent more in one day than he usually spends in a month. A bartender might whisper, those boys at the corner table had a lot of cash, more than farmhands should. Little clues begin to point in the same direction, toward areas where Rube once lived and worked, toward places where he feels at home. Back in the gang, tension starts to grow. Some men want to keep robbing as before. They say, we have not been caught yet. We are too clever. The law is always behind us. Others are nervous. They feel eyes on them everywhere. They ask Rube, how long can we do this? How long until they catch up? Rube stands at the center of these fears. He cannot show doubt. If he does, the gang might fall apart. He says, we stay sharp. We move fast. We pick our spots. If we do that, they cannot stop us. His voice is firm, but inside, he knows the truth. Every new robbery adds another stone to the pile against him. Every new risk could be the one that fails. Still, Rube plans more robberies. He tells himself they must strike again to stay ahead, to keep money flowing, to feed the horses, buy food, and pay helpers. The gang hits trains in different states now, not just one area. They hope that by moving around, they will confuse the law. Sometimes it works. A sheriff in one county thinks the robbers are long gone, while a deputy in another county has only just heard of them. But the detectives have a wider view. They see the pattern across maps. They see the marks of the same hand. To them, the robberies are not separate storms. They are all pieces of one big storm, with Rube Burrow at the center. One evening, as the sun sinks low, Rube watches a train pass from a safe distance. He does not stop it. He simply watches smoke rises in a soft gray line. The wheels flash in the light. Inside that train, people laugh, talk, read, and sleep. Never knowing how close they are to the man in the shadows, the man whose face is now on their wanted posters, Rube feels something bitter and strange. Once, he wanted to be a simple passenger, a man with a ticket and a quiet life. Now, he is the danger those passengers fear. He chose this road, but every step forward makes it harder to turn back. The hunters are closer than he thinks. Men on horseback follow rumors. Detectives ride trains, step off in small towns, and ask sharp questions. Sometimes they miss him by a day, sometimes by only a few hours. Soon the chase will no longer be a quiet search on paper. Soon it will be horses in the night, boots on porches, guns in hands. The man who hunts trains is about to be hunted himself, not just by strangers, but by people from his own world, men who know his land, his roads, his ways. The net is starting to tighten. How he slips through it, and how the cost grows higher every time the hunters are moving. The posters are up, questions are being asked in every small town from Texas to Alabama. But while the law studies maps and follows rumors, Rube Burrow and his gang are still doing what they do best. They are watching the rails. They are planning another robbery, a big one. By now, Rube knows more about trains than many railroad men. He knows which lines carry simple mail and which lines carry money that matters. One train draws his attention. It is said to carry a large shipment of cash, tickets, and lottery money. The kind of load that can make a poor man feel rich for the first time in his life. To most people, it is just another train on another night. To Rube, it looks like a chance to strike harder than ever before. He gathers the gang. Around a low fire, under a dark sky, he spreads out what little information they have, which town the train will pass, what time it usually comes, where it might be most helpless. They talk about guards, about risks, about how the law will answer if this robbery is as big as they hope. Some of the men are nervous. Some are excited. Jim, Rube's younger brother, watches his brother's face. He sees how serious Rube is. He knows the danger, but he also knows they are in deep now. There is no simple way back to farming and quiet days. The night of the big job comes, the air is cool, and a thin fog clings to the ground. The gang moves like shadows, keeping to the edges of the road. Leading their horses slowly, they take their places near a small stop, not far from Genoa in the countryside. Rube's eyes are fixed on the tracks. He has gone over this moment in his head many times. Now it is here. The faint tremble of the rails reaches his boots. The froth glow of the headlamp appears, growing brighter with every second. The train is coming, and with it, their chance. With practiced timing, the gang makes its move. The train slows, then stops when it sees trouble ahead. Rube and his men climb aboard with speed and force. Passengers are ordered to stay calm. Hands go up, eyes go wide. The express car becomes the center of the storm. Guns are pointed, voices are sharp. A safe is opened or broken into after tense moments that feel like hours. Inside is what they hoped for: bundles of cash, papers, and valuables worth a fortune. For a gang of men who once struggled for every dollar, this looks like a mountain of wealth. They work fast, filling bags with money and important documents. Each second feels heavy. Any moment, someone could be brave or foolish enough to resist. Any moment, another train worker could reach for a hidden gun. But tonight, the robbery goes their way. No sudden hero stands up. No desperate guard takes a wild shot. Rube gives the signal. The gang disappears into the night, leaving behind a shaken train and a story that will race along the telegraph wires by morning. This is not a small theft. It is something the companies cannot ignore. The result is simple and dangerous. The reward on Rube Burrow's head grows. The anger of the railroad and express companies grows with it. They send for more detectives. They share information between states. They compare the details of every train robbery. The way the men spoke, the way they moved, the way they chose lonely places along the line. It becomes clear that many of these crimes belong to the same hand, to the same mind, to the same outlaw. Too. Rube, back in the gang. Not everything is strong and steady. Jim has never been as hard and tough as his older brother. The life on the run begins to wear him down. The long rides, cold nights, and constant fear cut into his health. He coughs more. He sleeps less. Sometimes, when the others talk about the future, Jim looks away. Maybe he is thinking about what might have been if they had stayed farmers or found other work. But there is no turning back now, only forward into more danger. Then, one day, the Burrow Gang is not fast enough. A raid comes. Maybe it is a trap set by detectives. Maybe it is a chance run-in with lawmen on patrol. In the confusion, gunshots ring out, horses scream, men shout. The gang tries to scatter, but not everyone makes it into the trees. Jim Burrow is caught. Rube hears about it later, not from a newspaper, but from another man who saw the smoke and heard the talk. His brother, his closest partner in this outlaw life, is now behind bars. In jail, Jim's health gets worse. The air is damp. The food is poor. The cough deepens into something heavier, something that shakes his whole body. Doctors call it lung sickness. People whisper words like consumption and tuberculosis. Whatever the name, the result is the same. Jim is not getting better. News drifts back to Rube. His brother is weak. His brother is fading. The law has not just taken a gang member. It has taken a piece of Rube's heart. For a man already shaped by loss, this new blow cuts deep. He lost his wife to sickness. Now his brother is wasting away in a cell, far from the open sky, far from the home they once tried to build together. Some men might surrender at this point. Others might run far away, throwing down their guns and hiding forever. Rube does neither. He becomes harder. Each new robbery after Jim's capture carries more anger. More distance, less patience. He trusts fewer people now. He suspects betrayal everywhere. Detectives use Jim's capture as a key. They question him when he is strong enough to speak. They watch who comes to see him. They listen for any careless word from visitors or guards. Every small clue, a town name, a cousin's farm, an old friend, helps them draw a tighter circle around Rube. They begin to guess where he might hide. They even begin to suspect that, one day, he may try to come close to home again, to the land of his childhood. One evening, Rube sits alone, away from the rest of the gang. He looks at the land, the trees, the fading sky. He thinks of Jim in a cold cell. He thinks of his wife, long gone. He thinks of the boy he once was, working in Alabama dirt, with no idea that his name would one day be known across the South. He has money now, but no peace. He has power, but no safety. The road he walks is narrow, and dark, and it is about to grow darker still. The big score has made Rube richer. Jim's capture has made him colder. The law is closer than ever. The detectives are learning his patterns. Every robber he hires, every helper he trusts, might be the one who talks soon. Rube will make a move that changes everything. Not on a lonely track this time, but at a small, simple place where people send letters and collect packages. A post office. And what happens there will turn him from feared robber into something even more terrible in the eyes of the public. That moment, the fatal choice in a quiet post office, the big train robbery gives Rube Burrow money. The loss of his brother Jim gives him pain. Now, he moves through the South like a shadow riding at night, hiding by day, always listening for the sound of hooves or the echo of his own name. But the moment that will change everything, the moment that will turn many people fully against him, does not happen on a train track. It happens in a small country post office. The year is moving toward the end of the 1880s. The air in Alabama is warm and heavy. Fields stretch wide, dotted with simple houses and wooden fences. In one of these quiet places, a small post office sits by the road. It is not grand, just a plain building with a counter, some shelves, and sacks of mail. People come there for letters from family, for news from far away, for small packages that carry hope or hard-earned goods. Behind the counter works a local man, the postmaster, a person the community knows and trusts. He sorts letters. He hands out mail. He follows the rules. He has no idea that his life is about to cross with one of the most wanted men in the South. By this time, Rube is moving under false names. He wears different clothes when he can. He keeps his hat low and his eyes sharp. He knows the law is after him. He knows his face may be on walls he has not seen yet, but he also knows something else. To stay free, he needs disguises and supplies. Some of those things can be ordered by mail, fake beards, wigs, special items that will help him pass as someone. And where do such packages arrive? At the post office. So one day, Rube walks toward that small building by the road. He looks like any other traveler. Dust on his boots, a hat pulled down, clothes a bit worn from the ride. Inside, the postmaster is doing his normal work, stacking letters, checking lists. The bell or door creaks as Rube steps in. For a moment, it is an ordinary scene, just a man and a postmaster in a quiet room with the smell of paper and dust. Rube calmly asks if there is a package for a certain name. It may be his real name. It may be a false one. Different stories later give different details. The postmaster checks his records. He finds a package that seems to match, but there is a rule. Before he can hand it over, he needs proof, a signature, a bit of identification, something that shows the man in front of him is the rightful owner. This is normal for him. He is not trying to be cruel. He is just doing his job. To Rube, however, this simple rule feels like a threat. He is a wanted outlaw. He cannot show papers. He cannot write his real name without fear. The air in the little room grows tense. Rube insists the package is his. The postmaster insists he must follow the rules. Voices rise, not loud at first, but tight, sharp, and full of strain. The postmaster does not know how dangerous this moment is becoming. He sees only a difficult customer. Rube sees something else. A barrier between him and what he needs. A man who might look too long at his face. A man who might later remember his voice and tell others that fear and anger mix inside him. What happens next comes in a flash. Words fail. Patience breaks. In the heat of that small room, with no one else to calm the storm, Rube reaches for his gun. There is a shout, maybe a warning, maybe a curse, maybe the last word. The postmaster ever hears a shot explodes. The sound fills the room, slams into the walls, shakes the air. The postmaster falls. Letters flutter from the counter, sliding to the floor around him like pale leaves. In a single second, Rube has crossed another line. This man was not a guard with a rifle. He was not a detective with a warrant. He was not a rich railroad boss. He was a local worker, a face known by families, someone who handed children letters from faraway grandparents, someone who knew, who married, who moved, who sent money home. Now he lies still on the post office floor. Rube grabs what he can, maybe the package, maybe the mail, maybe nothing at all. His heart pounds, his breath is fast. He runs from the building, back into the open air, back to his horse, back toward the hiding places he knows. But he is not the same man who walked in, back there. On that wooden floor, something of his old self lies dead too. News of the killing spreads with terrible speed. This is not a train in the middle of nowhere. This is a post office in a community. People know the postmaster by name. They know his family. When they hear he has been shot by a robber, by the same kind of man who has been taking money from trains, their anger burns. Newspapers write about it as more than a crime. They call it a shame, a cowardly act, a cold murder. The story of Rube the bold train robber starts to turn into the story of Rube the killer of a simple working man. Whatever hints of Robin Hood people once imagined fade fast under the weight of this act. For the law, this killing is a turning point too. Before, some sheriffs and deputies may have felt the robberies were mostly about money. Dangerous, yes, but still just theft. Now, a federal worker or man who handles the mail of the United States has been shot in the line of duty. That means more pressure, more anger from officials, more money offered for capture. Men who once hunted Rube because it was their job now hunt him with something deeper, a sense that he has crossed a moral line. Somewhere out in the hills, Rube sits by a dying fire, the glow flickering over his face. He thinks about the quiet post office, the look on the postmaster's face, the way the man fell. He tells himself it had to be done. He tells himself it was him or the law. But even if his words are hard, a part of him knows this was not like the first train robbery. This was not like scaring rich passengers and taking cash. This was something darker. From this point on, the chase becomes more serious, more wide, more relentless. Detectives follow every whisper. Posse groups ride out faster. Neighbors who once might have hidden him now think twice. The outlaw life that once felt like power now feels more like a trap closing in. Rube still has his gun, his horse, his skills, and his will to survive. But the number of people who want him caught or dead has never been so large. The killing in the post office has turned many hearts. Against him, the man who used to make trains stop will soon learn what it feels like when the whole world wants him to stop. The story of that hunt, the tightening noose around Rube Burrow, and the final desperate moves he makes to stay free and narrator. After the post office killing, the name Rube Burrow is no longer just a rumor on the rails. It is a warning, a headline, a word spoken with anger, fear, or hate. He is no longer seen only as a train robber. To many, he is now a cold killer, and killers do not get mercy. They get hunted. In towns and cities across the South, men in offices lean over maps. They trace train lines with their fingers. They mark places where robberies happened. They circle spots where people say they saw strange riders on lonely roads. Railroad men, express company, bosses, sheriffs, and detectives all have the same goal now. Find Rube Burrow. More money is added to the reward. Posters go up in new places. The rough drawing of his face looks out from saloon doors, store walls, and post office boards. For some, that face means danger. For others, it looks like a chance at a small fortune if they helped catch him. Rube feels this change. When he rides into a small store to buy food, he sees the way people look at strangers now. Not with simple curiosity, but with careful eyes. as if they are measuring every new face against the wanted pictures in their minds. He keeps his hat low. He pays in small amounts when he can. He does not stay long. The world that once felt wide and open now feels tight and watching. He moves often. One week, he hides in thick woods, sleeping under branches and using leaves for cover. Another week, he stays in a quiet cabin, owned by someone who still feels loyal to him, or too afraid to say no. Sometimes he hides in swamps, where the ground is wet and the air is full of insects. Sometimes he climbs into rocky hills, where the paths are narrow and the wind is sharp. Every place has the same rule: do not stay long enough to be found. The gangs around him are smaller now. Some of the old partners are dead. Some are in jail. Some have simply walked away, too tired or too scared to keep living on the edge of a gun barrel. New faces appear for short times, men who want quick money, men who like danger, but Rube does not trust them easily. He has seen how the promise of reward money can turn friends into informers. He knows one careless word, one wrong person in the circle, can bring a sheriff's posse straight to his hiding place. So he keeps his plans tighter, his circle smaller, his thoughts mostly to himself. The detectives do not give up. They follow broken clues. A horse traded too quickly, a coat recognized by a storekeeper, a story told by a nervous neighbor who heard something but is not sure. They ride trains, then switch to horses, then back to trains again. They talk to preachers, store owners, farmhands, and bartenders. Have you seen a man like this? They ask, some say no and mean it. Some say no and lie. Some say yes and point toward the hills, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and hope, fear of the outlaw, hope for the reward. More than once, the hunters come close. One night, they ride quietly toward a cabin where Rube had slept the previous evening. They move like ghosts in the dark, guns ready, boots soft on the ground. But when they push the door open, the bed is empty. The blanket is still warm. The ashes in the fireplace still faintly glowing. He has slipped away again, only a few hours ahead of them. Another time they follow tracks through mud and brush. The prints of a horse's hooves show clearly. They rush forward with excitement, but at a narrow creek. The tracks vanish into water and rock. Rube has taken the stream as his road, letting the current hide his trail. He is not just lucky. He is learning, changing his methods as the chase grows harder, even while running. Rube does not fully stop hunting trains. Sometimes, when the risk seems low, he plans another robbery. The hauls are not always as big as before, but each stolen dollar keeps him moving, buying food, paying helpers, changing horses. Every robbery, however, also shouts his name across the land again. Telegraph wires crackle with messages. Another train robbed. Suspected same gang. Each crime is like a flare in the night, showing the law that he is still out there, still dangerous, still unwilling to surrender. Inside, Rube grows more tired. His body feels the strain of long nights, short sleep, and hard rides. His mind carries the weight of every face he has scared, every shot he has fired, every person who has fallen because he wanted money and freedom. When he sits alone, away from his men, he sometimes looks into the distance and sees not just trees and hills, but memories, the farm in Alabama, the ranch in Texas, his first wife's smile, his brother Jim's laugh. Then he blinks, and the pictures fade. The only thing that stays clear is the fact that he is alone and being hunted. For the people living in the towns and countryside, the story of Rube becomes almost like a dark legend. Children hear older folks talk in low voices. He robbed another train. They say he was seen near the woods last week. They say he walks through the night like a ghost. Some almost admire his ability to escape. Others pray never to see him. But whether they fear him or secretly cheer his boldness, one thing is certain. Everyone knows he cannot run forever. The law is patient. The detectives are stubborn. The reward is high. Sooner or later, someone will talk. Someone will slip. Someone will be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Rube begins to circle closer to something familiar, his old home ground, the places of his childhood in Alabama. For a hunted man, home is a dangerous idea. It pulls at the heart. It promises comfort, faces you know, roads you walked as a boy. But it also holds people who know you, who can recognize you even with a hat brim low and a beard grown thick. Still, as the road grows harder and the world grows smaller, Rube drifts back toward the land that first raised him. Maybe he believes he can hide better there. Maybe he just wants to see it again. Either way, the move brings him closer to the men who are watching him the most. Local lawmen, local guards, local people who now see him as a danger, not a neighbor's son. The circle around him is almost closed. He does not see every line drawn on the maps. He does not hear every plan made in quiet rooms. But the results are there. Posses that ride more often, questions that cut deeper, strangers who seem a little too curious. The most hunted man in the South is walking along a thin edge now. One wrong. Step one, trusted person who should not be trusted. One moment of lowered guard. That is all it will take. Soon, Rube will meet men who are not just chasing a legend, but chasing a living. Breathing outlaw they are determined to bring in. His capture will not be neat. It will not be calm. It will be sudden, rough, and full of the same kind of risk and violence that marked his whole life on the rails. How he is finally caught, and what desperate thing he does after that. The net around Rube Burrow is almost closed. He rides less now. He trusts fewer people. He stays close to the woods and back roads of Alabama, the land where he was born, the land he once farmed as a boy. But home is no longer a safe place. It is a hunting ground. Lawmen, guards, and detectives are watching the hills, listening in stores, waiting for the day someone says, "I know where Rube is." That day is very close. Near a quiet spot in Alabama countryside, there is a simple cabin. It belongs to a man named George Ford. To most people, it is just another wooden house among many a place with a roof, a bed, and a bit of land around. But in hard times, cabins like this can become hiding places. Rube knows this. He moves from one such place to another, staying a night or two, never too long. One evening, he slips into Ford's cabin, tired from travel, looking for rest and food. He believes it is a safe stop. He believes no one is watching. He is wrong. A farmer named John McDuffie lives in the area. He has heard whispers, strange riders, odd visitors. People say an outlaw might be hiding nearby, not just any outlaw, but the outlaw everyone talks about. McDuffie pays attention. He watches one day. He notices a stranger around Ford's place. The man moves with care. He does not act like a normal visitor. McDuffie's mind races. Could this be Rube? He decides not to take chances. McDuffie goes to the mail clerk at the local station, a man named Jesse Hildreth. Hildreth is not a famous lawman, but he has a job to protect the mail and watch for danger. McDuffie tells him his suspicions. He describes the stranger. He explains about Ford's cabin. Hildreth listens closely. He knows the stories of Rube. He knows the reward. He also knows that if this really is Rube, waiting too long could mean losing him again. So he makes a plan. Hildreth gathers a small group. He is joined by Frank Marshall, another man ready to face danger. They move quietly toward Ford's cabin, hearts beating fast, hands close to their guns. They do not have a full army behind them. They do not have big city backing. They are just local men trying to capture one of the most wanted outlaws in the South. The risk is huge, but they go anyway. At the cabin, the air is still. The door is closed. Light may glow between cracks in the boards. Hildreth and his men move into position. No one wants to give the outlaw time to grab a gun. Then, with a sudden rush, they strike. The door bursts open. Voices shout. Hands grab. Rube tries to react, but the surprise is too strong. They're forced too quick. There is a struggle, a flash of fists, a scramble for control, and then it is over. For the first time, Rube Burrow is taken. Alive, they bind him, check him for weapons, and keep their guns close. Rube's eyes are sharp. His body is tired, but his mind is turning. He knows this is bad. He also knows something else. As long as he is still breathing, there may still be a way out. For now, he waits. He talks little to men around him, feel a strange mix of pride, fear, and disbelief. They have done what many others fail to do. They have captured the ghost of the Rells. They take Rube to Linden, Alabama, a small town with a small jail. The building is plain. No big stone towers, no rows of iron cells. Just a modest place with thick walls, a few rooms. And iron bars enough to hold a man who is not supposed to escape. The town buzzes with excitement. The train robber is here. They caught him. Is it really him? People stare as he is brought through, hands bound, guards close. Some see a killer. Some see a legend. Some see just a tired man in trouble. In the jail, the guards try to do their job, but they are also human. They talk to Rube. They listen to him tell stories in his calm way. He does not scream or beg. He jokes sometimes. He seems almost friendly. He offers Hildreth money. Reports say around $100. If he will let him go, Hildreth refuses. He has come too far to throw it all away now. Still, this shows something important. Rube is always searching for a crack, a weakness, any door that might open. Night falls on Linden. The jail grows quiet. Most people in town go to sleep, believing the danger is locked behind bars. Inside, Rube is not sleeping. He is thinking. At some point, he asks for food from a sack of supplies he had been allowed to keep near him. The guard, tired and maybe a bit too trusting now, hands it to him. It seems harmless. Just a bag with biscuits or ginger snaps. Something simple to eat, but hidden deep inside is something far more dangerous than bread, a gun. Rube moves fast. In a flash, the quiet prisoner turns into the outlaw again. He pulls the weapon from the bag before the guards can react. He points it at them. The calm voice that once ordered passengers on trains now orders the very men who caught him into the cell he commands. They obey, shocked and angry, but unable to fight at that moment without dying. He locks them in with the same bars meant for him. The prison has just changed. Sides. With gun in hand, Rube steps back into the early morning air. Freedom tastes close again, sharp, quick, and desperate. He forces another man to go with him. Using him as a shield and guide, they move toward town, toward a store where Rube believes his money is held by a man he does not trust. In his mind, his world has become a mix of real danger and half-formed stories. He sees enemies everywhere. He believes this store and this man are a part of some trap against him. He is determined to take back what he thinks is his. The streets are waking up. People see movement where there should not be any. Whispers fly. The prisoner escaped. Rube is loose. Men grab rifles. They duck behind barrels, doors, fences. They are not dealing with an unknown robber now. They know exactly who he is and what he has done. When Rube reaches the area near Gloss's store, guns are waiting. What happens next is fast and deadly shouts. Commands yelled from different sides. Rube's gun aimed, others' guns aimed back. For a moment, it is like those nights on the trains, everyone on edge. Everyone one heartbeat away from firing. Then the shots break loose. The sound crashes through the street, bouncing off walls and windows. Bullets tear through the air when the smoke begins to thin. One man is wounded and Rube Burrow lies on the ground, shot and still. The man who stopped trains cannot stop this. His flight is over. People gather, staring at the body of the outlaw who once seemed almost untouchable. Some feel relief, some feel sorrow, some feel nothing but cold curiosity as they look upon a legend made flesh and blood. In time, his body will be taken away, shown to prove he is truly dead, then carried back toward the land of his birth. The story of his deeds will not end there, but his life on the run has reached its final stop. The boy from the Alabama farm, the man who robbed trains, the outlaw who killed and escaped his journey, has ended in a small southern town, in a burst of gunfire and dust. What remains now is not his next move, but his memory, the tales people tell, the way history chooses to remember him. For better or worse, that final piece of the story, the legacy of Rube Burrow, the gunshots in Linden, Alabama, and the life of Rube Burrow. But they do not end his story. In many ways, his story is just beginning. Because when an outlaw dies, the facts stop, and the legends begin to grow. After the smoke clears and the street grows quiet, people stand and stare at his body. Some whisper, "That's him. That's really him." Others shake their heads and say, "About time." A few just watch it. Silence, knowing they are seeing the end of a man whose name has been on posters, in newspapers, and on the lips of lawmen for years. The body is checked, the wounds are counted, the face is studied. There is no doubt. This is the same man who once stopped trains in the night and ordered passengers to raise their hands. Soon, word goes out. Rube Burrow is dead. The news travels by telegraph, by train, by letters, and by word of mouth. In small towns, people gather at stores and depots to talk about it. Did you hear they finally got him? Is it true? Some people feel safer. They believe the tracks will be quieter now. Trips by rail might feel less like a gamble with an outlaw's gun. Others feel a strange sadness. Not because they liked what he did, but because they have lived for years with his name as part of their world. The story they followed has reached its last chapter. Narrator. The body is taken by train, the very machine he used to rob at different stops along the route. Curious crowds gather. Some people want proof. They want to see with their own eyes that the famous robber is truly gone. Some reach out to touch his coat. Some try to cut off pieces, a button, a bit of cloth, even a lock of hair to keep as souvenirs. To them, it is like holding a small piece of history, a piece of a legend. His father, old and tired now, is brought to see the body. He looks at the face that once was a boy's face on his farm. He does not see the wanted, posters, or the headlines. He sees his son. Simple words leave his mouth. It is Rube. Those words close the question for the family, for the law, for the newspapers. Yes, the outlaw is truly gone. Narrator. Rube is taken to Fellowship Cemetery. Back in the Alabama earth that first raised him, his grave is not surrounded by gold, or stolen safes, or piles of money. It is simple, just another resting place among many others. The boy who once dreamed of owning land is now part of it forever. But while his body lies still, his story keeps moving. People begin to tell it in different ways. Some focus on the train robberies, the daring stops, the clever plans, the way he used bridges and curves to trap the great machines. They speak of him like a dark kind of hero, a man who stood up to big railroads when poor farmers and workers felt powerless. Others focused on the killings, the passenger who died on a train, the postmaster in the small post office. To them, any talk of hero is an insult. They see only the broken families, the fear, the lives cut short for money. Over time, the sharp facts of his life start to bend in people's minds. Some say he never robbed the poor. Some say he was always kind to passengers, unless they fought back. Some imagine him laughing, handing out stolen bills to families in need. Like a real-life Robin Hood, others insist he was cruel, cold, and greedy. The truth sits somewhere in between. A hard man in a hard time, making choices that hurt many people, but also shaped by loss and struggle from the very start. Reuters pick up his story. They put his name in books, articles, and Western tailies. Later, his name appears in movies and TV shows. Whenever people want to bring back the wild days of the American frontier, he becomes part of a larger picture. The world of Wild West outlaws, alongside names like Jesse James or the Dalton Gang. Some stories make him bigger than he was. Some make him simpler, but all of them keep him alive in the world of imagination. Why do people hold on to stories like his? Maybe because Rube's life touches something deep and uneasy inside the human heart. He starts as a poor farm boy, chasing honest work. Life hits him with loss, crop failures, and death. Then he chooses a darker path, robbery, violence, and finally, murder. His story raises hard questions. How much of a person is shaped by the world around them? How much is shaped by their own choices? At what point does pain stop being a reason and become just an excuse? When people talk about Rube Burrow, they are not just talking about one man. They are talking about fairness and unfairness, about power and poverty, about what happens when a person feels the world is rigged against them. Some may feel a sudden jolt of understanding when they hear how he struggled as a farmer and lost people he loved. Others feel nothing but anger when they think of the train passenger who never went home, the postmaster who died at his counter. Both feelings are real. Both belong in the story. In the end, Rube Burrow is not just a villain or a hero. He is a warning of what can happen when anger turns into action, when hurt turns into hate, when a man decides that the law no longer applies to him because life has treated him badly. His robberies were bold. His escapes were clever. His courage under pressure was real, but so were the lives he ruined. So were the people who never came back. Today, trains run on steel rails with modern guards, modern rules, and new technology. The world looks different, but the old stories still ride with them, quietly, like shadows in the corners of history. Somewhere, a person opens a book or clicks on a video and hears once again about the man who stopped trains with nothing but a gun and his will. The man who became the most dangerous train robber of the Wild West. The man named Rube Burrow. His life is over. His legend is not docked. And now that you know his full story, from poor farm boy to hunted outlaw, you must decide for yourself. Was he a tragic man pushed too far, or a dangerous man who pushed himself too far into darkness? Whatever you decide, one thing is certain: you will not forget his name.